Serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm Loving It, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on your news leader, a military wife speaks out about alleged abuse. Nick Delgado has the exclusive. Plus, the island's unemployment hits lowest rate since start of pandemic. Nestor Lecanto has the details. And our Daniel Perez has the latest on the search for our Guam Department of Education superintendent. These stories and more right now coming up on KUAM News Primetime. Hafa and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Primetime. I'm Tomas Manglonia. We're so glad you can join us. Topping our newscast this evening, domestic abuse at any level is a tough, ongoing battle for many. For one military spouse, it has been years of hurt, and it took nearly losing her life before she was able to escape her abuser. That woman sparked interest on social media after being seen holding a sign outside of the Navy gate this week. Nick Delgado joins us with her exclusive story. Nick.
Tomas, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, the photo you are about to see only needs one. Enough. That's how Laura Black, a military spouse, feels after nearly a decade of abuse from the man she once thought she would spend the rest of her life with. Laura Allen, locally known as Laura Black, was spotted holding this sign out front the naval base Guam on Monday. This after more than a year had passed since she found the courage to report the abuse she suffered early on in her marriage. A marriage that started in 2013 to a man in the U.S. Coast Guard who she initially met online.
The abuse started shortly after I got married, and it went on for many years, and I decided that I had to get out of it, and I've made a plan to, I'm sorry.
Dramatic memories for her to recount.
It's tough. We might need to start over. This is really hard.
Seconds later, she regained enough strength to continue.
This is the first time that I've broken my silence on Monday when I decided to do the protest, just verbal, mental abuse. And I was intimidated by knives and guns. He owns well over 20 automatic weapons that he would keep behind every door, beside the bed, on him in the car, and he would describe how he could hide a body, and just really intimidated me. There was a lot of control there. He was able to isolate me from my family and friends. And then we moved to Guam in 2015, and that's when the real physical abuse started.
Pair were in Guam up to 2018 before moving to Colorado. This is where she began planning her escape.
I was actually in more danger because he now had all his guns with him.
Black recently learning through advocates that the Coast Guard investigators said her partner retired and was no longer in the military. To her, that meant the investigation into her alleged abuse would now fall on deaf ears.
I really just felt very alone. They had asked that I keep my mouth shut and not speak about the investigation because it could interfere with it.
She escaped her alleged abuser in January of last year before returning to Guam.
When I got here, I just couldn't process everything that I had been through on my own.
Her mission comes a year after a CBS News investigation found that roughly 100,000 domestic abuse cases were reported to the military since 2015. Survivors in those cases claiming the military failed to help them.
What I wanted from this was just to put more awareness to it, to hopefully inspire some change within the military to make spouses feel more supported and just safe. I feel like there needs to be a lot of changes within the system to provide safety and support for spouses.
Since her protest, Black says she has been getting a flood of messages from military spouses on Guam and elsewhere, coming forward and sharing their stories of abuse. What would you tell Laura early on in the abuse, if you could tell her today?
To just get out, you know, and you know, confide with my family and trusted friends and get an escape plan, because when you do try to leave or when you do report things to their command, it puts you in a more dangerous situation, and so you have to have a plan and you need to get out.
A spokesperson for Forces Micronesia's Sector Guam tells us, quote, the lady in question is a private citizen married to a retired Coast Guard member who is not in Guam but was stationed here some years ago, adding she was exercising her First Amendment right peacefully, which we fully support. We reached out to authorities in hopes to get comment from the Coast Guard Investigative Services, but they have yet to respond. Tomas?
All right, thank you, Nick. Turning to court news, murder defendant Nicholas Moore's drive-by shooting trial continues in Superior Court. With Navy sailor Eric Salone on the witness stand, Salone has since admitted that he was involved in the shooting that sent another man to the hospital in Agana Heights in 2020. Moore was watching from the defense table as his attorney David Lujan asked Salone about the message that Moore's mom sent to him following the shooting.
If I remember correctly, you said to us here that you told her Nicholas was defending you guys.
Yes, sir.
That was it. Am I correct?
That wasn't it. That's the summary of what the conversation was, yes, sir.
Okay. And were you lying to her, or were you being honest to her?
I lied to her.
So, all she wanted was to hear the truth. So why would you lie to her?
Because I covered for Nick.
There's no word yet if Moore will testify. Trial is ongoing before Judge Alberto Tolentino. Almost $520,000 worth of meth was seized from January 10 to the 28th of this year, according to several court documents unsealed in the District Court of Guam recently. A total of over 3,000 grams of methamphetamine was intercepted by the feds in a total of 5 parcels mailed from various areas, including Sacramento, California, Renton, Washington, West Valley City, Utah. The packages were mailed to residences and postal boxes on island. The biggest quantity is over close to 3,000 gross grams was mailed to a P.O. box in Hagat. No charges have been filed and no arrests have been made relative to these findings. $2,000 cash bail is all Jiafeng Liu needed to be released from jail, and on Monday afternoon in Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan's courtroom, Liu had to surrender his passport. Liu was arrested on suspicion of violating Guam's arrival requirements after the Guam Police Department received a report from a concerned fisherman who saw suspicious activity on Guam's northern coast. GPD, along with the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency and investigators from the Office of the Attorney General, responded to the unlawful arrival into Guam. As KUAM reported, a task force was formed to help stem the tide of illegal Chinese nationals from the NMI slipping into Guam by small boats. And in what would be a huge boost to the local tourism industry, Japanese media are reporting that the Tokyo government is expected to make an announcement on ending the pre-arrival COVID-19 testing requirement for inbound travelers. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said in an online news conference Monday that he would announce revised coronavirus measures in the next few days. The Nikkei News reports they could include eased border controls and a reclassification of the coronavirus. Tourism industry officials have said requiring pre-departure tests upon return from overseas trips has discouraged Japanese citizens from traveling because of the prospect of delays and added expenses if they test positive. In response to the potential lifting, the Guam Visitors Bureau issued this response by President and CEO Carl Gutierrez. We're excited to hear this news. It's a long time coming and will greatly help with the Japan market recovery, while incentivizing our legacy carriers like Japan Airlines and United to augment their existing coverage between Japan and Guam. Our island has been doing good in keeping our COVID numbers down, so we feel both Japan and Guam are ready for this change in Japan's testing requirements. Japan has maintained tight restrictions compared to other countries, including the U.S., which in June stopped requiring that inbound foreign travelers submit pre-departure test results. According to the Nikkei News, the government is also considering raising the daily cap on arriving Japanese and foreign nationals from 20,000 to 50,000 people. For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
And late this afternoon, Japanese media confirmed that Prime Minister Kishida will order the lifting of the pre-arrival COVID testing mandate on the raise the cap on arrivals from 20,000 to 50,000. And the local unemployment rate continues to drop, reaching its lowest level since before the pandemic. The Labor Department released its latest figures that show unemployment is at 5.1% for the quarter ending in March 2022. That compares to the 7.2% unemployment rate from the previous quarter in December. Here's Nestor Lecanto.
GDOL says total payroll employment rose by 2,210 workers year over year, 62,280 people in March of 2022 compared to 60,070 in March of 2021. Officials credit the ongoing construction activity of some $1.2 billion in military and civilian projects and the tourism surge in April, primarily from Korea. But also a factor in the lower unemployment is many in the workforce have left the island.
The unemployment rate is going down for two reasons. One, more people are employed, so that causes a reduction in unemployment. But also, the unemployment is a measure of how many people are looking that can't find jobs. So if they've left the island to go look for work elsewhere, like the mainland, then they would not be unemployed on Guam, and that would reduce our unemployment.
At 5.1%, the unemployment rate has reached another post-pandemic low, but it's still higher than the national average of 3.5%.
A major portion of our economy is international tourism. So tourism as a component of the U.S. economy is much smaller, but it's also less internationals.
And I think 5.1 is a very good position to be in. And the Japan market hasn't really opened yet. So that gives room for more improvement.
And they say the construction and tourism industries are leading indicators of further growth ahead. First, military construction typically involves multi-year projects that will keep the workers working. Second, they say the number of hours worked per hotel employee has nearly doubled, meaning it will be critical for hotels to hire new people.
This is a natural progression. There'll be a leveling off. I think hotel industry as overall, the pay will go up on average, and in order to attract more employees to coming in.
For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Still to come on your news leader, the latest on the search for a GDOE superintendent and the groundbreaking for the Guam Community College's Student Center concrete canopy. These stories and more up next.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Santa Fe family. I am Anne Leon Guerrero. I am voting for Joe.
I am Ernie Caceres. I am voting for Joe.
I am Rose Tapasna Mesa, and I am voting for Joe.
I am Kathy Leon Guerrero, and I'm voting for Joe.
I'm Hope Benavente de los Reyes, and I'm voting for Joe.
I'm Marilyn Tablante. I'm voting for Joe.
I am Deb Kenga. I am voting for Joe.
My name is Michael Gofigan Tapasna, and I am voting for Joe.
I'm Ray Leonger. I'm voting for Joe.
I'm Benjamin D. Mesa Jr. I'll be voting for Joe.
I'm Pete Johnson, and I'm voting for Joe. Whoa.
The rising cost of living is affecting all of us on Guam. Our administration has expanded a program. We want to pay for your child's daycare up to $675 a month per child. This means more money in your pocket to pay for other expenses like the cost of gas and groceries. The Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration is investing in Guam's future, and that starts by supporting our working families. We are all in this together, Guam.
This ad is paid for by government funds at the Office of the Governor and the Department of Public Health and Social Services.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
The Camacho Ada campaign asks all our supporters to vote on the Republican side of the ballot on Election Day. From our friends Felix Camacho and Tony Ada for governor and lieutenant governor, Jim Moylan for delegate to the U.S. Congress, and our 15 candidates for the Guam legislature. Vote Republican from the top to the bottom. It all begins with you. You have to get involved with the process. That's how elections are won. Together, we will rise.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam On Demand.
Welcome back. The search for the Guam Department of Education's new superintendent continues. Daniel Perez has the progress report.
The search continues for a new superintendent to lead the Guam Department of Education, and according to the Vice Chair of the Guam Education Board and Guam Community College President Dr. Mary Okada, the board has extended the application period.
The job posting has been announced again for another 30 days, and we are hoping that individuals that are interested in the superintendent position, for them to apply and submit it to the HR office, and then the board will entertain the applications that are submitted, and hopefully we have a successful search.
The current acting GDOE superintendent is Francis Santos, who has since taken up the position since the departure of former superintendent John Fernandez. Dr. Okada added on to what transpired during the last GEB meeting regarding the search.
At the meeting that we recently had, there were no nominations on the floor, but we are still hoping that individuals are interested in the superintendent's position and that we find someone soon.
She also gave numbers on how many have applied for the position since its opening was announced.
The department received eight applications, and there were interviews that was conducted by the board. And we are hoping that the individuals that did apply are still interested in the job, and that they have an opportunity to interview with the board so that the board can select the next superintendent for the Guam Department of Education.
Those interested in applying for the position can submit their applications at GDOE's Human Resource Office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., or they can email their application to superintendentsearch@gdoe.net. Last day to apply is September 19. Daniel Perez reporting for KUAM News.
And turning to regional headlines over in the Northern Marianas, if you're living off-island, there's important information you need to know about absentee voting. Here's more from the Commonwealth Election Commission on Saipan.
Absentee
applications will be available online tomorrow, August 25th. It's going to open up to the public. So they're able to visit our website and just click on the link for absentee, and it'll take you through the absentee requests.
The Decision 2022 clock is ticking. The CNMI's general election is just 75 days away. The Commonwealth Election Commission is out in full force to deliver a smooth voting process. The executive director says there were 2,682 absentee voters in 2020. The highest ever was about 2,700. Back on Saipan, the timeline for certification was pushed back.
We were actually supposed to certify candidates on August 15th, but unfortunately that didn't go through because we had challenges that were submitted, challenge letters, and we had to address those issues. So I am hopeful that we will certify these candidates on Friday, which is August 26th, at this board meeting that's coming up.
Early voting in the Northern Islands kicks off on September 23rd. Early voting on Saipan, Tinian, and Rota begins on November 1st.
We're still open for registration. You know, registration doesn't close until September 9th. Our offices are open during lunch hours, and we're open on Saturdays from 9 to 2.
Back to news on Guam. The island-wide power system has been stabilized with the return of 2 of the 3 baseload generators that had been offline. GPA General Manager John Beneventi gave an update at Tuesday night's Consolidated Commission on Utilities meeting. He says the PD number 8 unit was restored last week and the Cabras generator this weekend.
Cabras 2 came on the line on Saturday, and he's now up at 45 megawatts and operating well. And again, knock on wood, we'll see, time will tell, because again, on boiler tubes, so you never really know. And then PD9 is still on schedule for no later than early September.
Returning to service.
Yeah, to restart. And then that would bring our 3 units back. And the next overhaul will be Cabras 2 in October 2 for about 50 days.
Beneventi says once the Cabras 2 overhaul is complete, they will have a full complement of baseload units back online, which should be more than enough to prevent any load shedding. And turning to more news here at home, some great news, in fact, as for current and future Guam Community College students, as a groundbreaking ceremony for the much-anticipated Student Center concrete canopy happened earlier today. The concrete canopy is part of the college's plan to ensure the campus is conducive to learning and promotes engagement for students. GCC President Dr. Mary Okada.
To the students, we've heard you. We've heard your voice, and this is one of the ways that we continue to provide support for our students while at the same time supporting our mission. So we look forward to the students actually taking advantage of the space that is provided to them and to enjoy the campus.
The concrete canopy will cover 4,300 square feet to include the student square stage. The total cost for the project is at $1,300,000 and is funded through approved CARES Act funding. GCC estimates the project to be completed in under a year. Stay tuned. Up next, Dave Delgado with your roundup of local sports.
Hey, can we talk?
Okay.
Guam was once home to over 12 native species of forest birds, each with their own unique sound, color, and role to play in our ecosystem. However, the arrival of the brown tree snake has threatened their existence. Today, only 3 of these species still exist in the wild. But what was once lost can be restored. Join the Department of Agriculture's efforts to restore our ecosystem. It is only through partnerships with various organizations and the community that we can give our native birds a future. Support snake suppression.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Can I call up Kevin to speak for the mayor?
Thank you so much for coming here in the village of Haget. 4 years ago, I stood before you in the Sagam Bisita as a Republican. Not knowing where this administration would take us, I stand before you here 4 years later, happy with the decision that we made as a community to vote in this administration. We have our gym that's constantly getting renovated. We have our senior citizen center that is undergoing its renovations. We have our RR crews and Finini finally getting the flooding mitigation. The list goes on of what this administration has done and what will they continue to do for our people. We just need to come out and we need to vote. I am asking you as your mayor, let's continue our progress and let's keep moving forward. Biba, Lou and Josh.
This is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, and I approve this message.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. On the show tonight, IIAAG Girls High School Volleyball. The Notre Dame Royals improved to 2-0 this season with the 3-set win over the St. Paul Warriors. Check it out. The UOG Tritons will have baseball tryouts beginning tomorrow at the GW Field. Tryouts will be conducted by Coach Roque Alcantara Jr. tomorrow and Friday from 4 to 6 p.m.
We have our assistant coach, RJ Miner, and one of our trainers, Sean Cruz, will be there to assist myself in this tryouts. We're also looking for student athletes. You know, you're attending UOG full-time and you want to come out and join our program and hopefully make our team. We have a season coming up at the Amateur League at Ukadu. So we're looking to fill up our roster and get you back out there playing on the field again. You can give me a call or email me at rokester57@gmail.com or contact me 747-4579 if you have any questions. And if you know anybody out there that is interested in this program, again, please contact us or meet us there at the baseball field.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Buenas, I'm Amanda Shelton. Whether creating the first Veterans Bill of Rights, increasing scholarship funding for college students, creating the Opioid Recovery Fund, providing pandemic relief to companies,
or pushing to raise the cost of living allowance for Manamku.
my time as a lawmaker has always been about empowering people. I metgut na isla tumatuhon kon metgut na kabatsitu, hu prometi how esti.
Please re-elect Amanda Shelton for Senator, Johnny Cole Torres Treasurer.
We knew it was time to make these when we started asking things like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to get a warm cinnamon roll right now? And why can't this kind of muffin come from the same place as a McMuffin? And isn't your coffee lonely without company from a glazed apple fritter? Well, consider these our 3 resounding yeses. Meet the new bakery sweets at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I have a tablet. I have no TV. Ooh, TV on Tab. Get live TV on your tablet or any device with DTV Plus from Docomo Pacific. Watch live channels or stream from your favorite apps on any device, all from your home Wi-Fi. No cable lines, no hassle, more savings. All for only $35 a month with your link bundle. DTV Plus, your cable TV on Wi-Fi. Ooh, TV on Tab.
Every person in this world is unique.
I'm a celebrity makeup artist and a content creator.
I'm the vice president of our company and a very proud grandma.
I'm a Filipino and I am 7 years old.
I would say I am always an eternal student.
I define beauty as being empowered, just feeling beautiful as who you are.
I am a Chamorro, born and raised in Guam.
저는 사랑이 최고라고 생각합니다.
Kinahan pamilya ko, pamilyang mahigpit.
謙虚であるということとは重んじます。
It is valuing our differences, respecting one another, and sharing a deep love for our island.
Is what makes us one people.
Welcome back. We wrap up the show with your birthday shoutouts. Here's Jason Salas.
On this August 24th, we are wishing a very happy birthday to Timothy Glover Jr., who celebrates birthday number 40 this year. Norma and Noah are sending you, Timothy, their very best. Happy 40th, man. And Claire Eleonor, happy birthday to Clary Boy from your BFFs, Happy and Appa. And also, happy birthday to Jenny Calvo, who blows out the candles today. Jenny, Jennifer, Jen, man, have a fantastic day today. Have something amazing to eat. Watch a really good movie. Oh, I don't know. Maybe Can't Buy Me Love from 1987, which is celebrating its 35th anniversary. Or Grease 2, you know? Some of your favorite movies. Have a good one.
That's our show. Thank you, and please stay safe, Guam and the NMI.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. and IT&E.
Top of the day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and we'd like to welcome our guest this week. He is Jerry Cruz, who is the president and CEO of the Community First Guam Federal Credit Union. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nestor. It's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
All right, we wanted to bring you on because you're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the credit union on Guam. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So this year we celebrate 60 years of service to the island of Guam. We've been around since 1962, started as a credit union focused on serving members of the civil service, Coast Guard, active duty, Navy, Marines, and have over the years evolved into a community credit union. And in the last 20 years have really focused on trying to deliver service to the community of Guam in targeted areas and targeted market spaces.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about how it all got started. Who started it? And you mentioned that it was primarily started for military personnel on the island, right?
That's correct. So back in 1962, a group of really forward-thinking individuals wanted a place where they can commingle their funds and obtain low-cost loans. these folks put their funds together and created a credit union. At the time, it was called Navmar Federal Credit Union. Perhaps you remember that name. And it was an employer-based credit union, which means that their primary focus was Coast Guard, Marines, active duty, Navy active duty, and retired, and then civil servants. And so understandably, a majority of the member base was down in the central and southern part of the island. From that real simple business model, they've developed into a strong credit union through the 70s and into the 80s and into the early 90s, grew their membership to tens of thousands. And then what happened in the mid to late 90s is the BRAC Commission came and
all the civil servants away.
A bunch of civil servants were moved off island. And so, you know, with the strike of a pen, so to speak, the earth, you know, was just moved from underneath the credit union. So they lost a bunch of members, lost a bunch of membership, and they really came to a crossroads. They needed to decide whether they wanted to continue on as a going concern or they were just going to fold up. And fortunately, they decided to continue on and decided that they wanted to become a community credit union. And so at that time, they changed, Navmar changed its charter so that its member base now included the entire island of Guam. And for the next 3 or so years, they went out and they grew membership with the community, through the community of Guam. So a lot of members came from private sector, inside the tourism industry, hotels and restaurants and things of that nature. And did that up until around 2000. And that's where we kind of see, if you look at our history, we kind of take a look at 2000 as marking the point where it begins kind of like the Renaissance, the new age of the credit union. What the board at that time realized was that they were really good at managing and serving civil servants because that's all they've done for all their life. And active duty military, they knew that market, they knew that demographic, and they found real success in that niche. But they were having a struggle trying to keep that same business model for the entire community of Guam. And so management at the time, the board at that time decided to go and recruit new management and make a concerted effort into developing the company so that it could effectively compete with the likes of many of the financial institutions here on island. And so they brought a new management team on. We recreated the business plan, we strategized and you know, we kept the things that made Navmar successful. And frankly, what made Navmar really successful was they stayed in tuned and focused on what they were good at. And they were good at taking care of a niche. And they were good at taking care of a certain demographic, understanding it and building their products around that niche. And so we kind of kept that philosophy. And so we still think of ourselves as a boutique, as a niche player in this big market. And so it is not unlike us to turn away from certain businesses because we just don't feel it fits our niche. And as a result of that, and staying close to our knitting, we've managed to peacefully coexist with many of the larger players here on island and still find real success in our own business model.
Yeah, for those who may not remember, some who may not have been around, the BRAC that you were referring to, that was the Base Realignment and Closure Commission. And can you just add a little bit more context? Tell us how many members were lost at that time when they were, you know, forced to go to the mainland or other places to follow employment.
Right. So you're correct. It was basically emphasis on closure. So at the time, there were tens of thousands of civil servants on island, and we had, for those of you who've been around long enough, remember SRF, the ship repair facility, Public Works, Naval Supply Depot, and then there were the construction part of the civil service. So OICC, I don't know if you remember that acronym, but it was the construction portion of the civil service, and then PWC, where the Navy ran their own power plant. And so all those departments, parts of the Navy have since gone away. Some have come back, but most of them are still gone. And so we went from tens of thousands of members to just under, I think, 4,000 was when we saw things started bottoming out. Of course, many members left islands in pursuit of new jobs, but several members retained their membership, and some stayed here and retired. But the product mix, when we moved from a member-based credit union to a community chartered credit union, we didn't only we made some missteps in trying to address the community part of the demographic. We also made missteps in trying to continue to accommodate members who had been with us for a long time. So there was a bit of learning that management needed to do in order to be able to accommodate both member groups, both groups of members. So we went through our own learning process, but it was a very trying time for sure for the company.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Guam is a special place to live, work, and raise your family. Our values and way of life guide us in everything we do.
Every day, we strive to be worthy of your trust. We pledge to run a campaign that respects our people and brings all of us together.
We've seen how hurtful rumors can be and the pain it causes. This has no place in our campaign.
We know that you want to hear about the candidates, their performance, and our plans for Guam's future. You want to know how we are going to revive our economy, improve healthcare, fix our roads and schools, make our island safer, and address the rising cost of living.
You also want to know what we've managed to achieve while in office these last few years. That's what you'll hear from us. You deserve nothing less. This is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, and I approve this message.
Santa Fe family.
Mobile offers a new and convenient way to fuel your vehicle. Pay gas and go. No need to line up inside the store. Press preset. Enter whole dollar amount without decimals. Press Loyalty ID and enter your mobile number or insert Smiles card. Insert and remove payment card or tap contactless credit card. Begin fueling. And don't forget to grab your receipt. Pay gas and go. It's that easy.
Hafaday, I'm Kelina from Doc's Cutie College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The Governor's Child Care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the Governor's Child Care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
And can you explain a little bit more about a member-based credit union versus a community-based?
Sure. And so it's an employer-based credit union versus a community-based credit union. So an employer-based credit union is a model of the past. So some really easy examples is Boeing Employees Federal Credit Union, which is a credit union that is there to serve employees of Boeing Corporation, or the San Diego City and County Credit Union, there to serve a certain member group, a certain employer group. That organization is offers the same kinds of products, but it's their field of membership is usually targeted towards an employer group or an association or a trade group or a union like that. A community-based credit union like ours, like Coast 360, is has a field of membership that includes, in our case, the entire island of Guam.
All right. And while you're at it, can you educate us on the difference between a credit union and a bank?
Sure. So easier to explain some of the similarities, and I'll go into the differences. The similarities are clear. Functionally, we offer the same products and services as any other financial institution, bank included. So checking, savings, mortgage loans, business loans, car loans, and things of that nature, certificates and lines of credits and stuff. So from that standpoint, we look the same. Where we believe our biggest difference has to do with purpose. And by that, I mean, we're kind of like a mutual. Our organizational structure is such that there's not a small group of people who own us. We're a widely held organization. And so members come in and they put their deposit with us, and there's no one group that drives decisions. It's a completely, as close as you'll ever get, democratic way of running an organization. And because of that, because of our focus on away from necessarily making profits, we believe our focus therefore is to accommodate and satisfy the needs of our members. And that doesn't mean we're going to, all members get loans whenever they want it, whatever term they want, whatever interest rate they want. What it simply means is that we exist for the purpose of providing sound financial services to our membership.
So as I understand it, in celebration of your 60th anniversary, you guys are engaging in 60 acts of service?
Yeah.
Explain more about that.
So it was, we've been around for 60 years, and part of our success, a big part of our success has been a result of how the community perceives us. And we like to believe that we're strong contributors to the island of Guam. By way of giving capital as a business, but also by way of contributing both in kind and financially to many of the worthwhile organizations here on Guam. And we believe that as a result of our contribution to the community outside our business contribution, the community has honored us by keeping us around for the last 60 years. And so we thought that what better way to continue to communicate just how important we believe the community is to us, but by contributing 60 acts of service to represent our 60 years of being here on island. And so it started a couple weeks ago with an island cleanup, and for the next 12 months we are going to be coming up with our team is tasked with coming up with different ways to demonstrate service to the island of Guam. And it's very, there's so many good causes, Nestor, on island. There's so many people who are doing so many good things that it's the challenge is to, and what I've asked our group to do, and myself included, is find ways that we can kind of widen the net to include more organizations, to include more groups that are doing some really fantastic things. There's some ones that you don't really hear, you hear a lot about some of the more popular organizations, popular nonprofits. There's so many more that are second or third tier down that do some fantastic things. And so we want to be able to some way touch those organizations as well.
Yeah. Tell me about how has your business responded to the pandemic? Anything different as a result?
Oh, absolutely. So the pandemic taught us one thing, and that is rain or shine, reduced hours or not, we have to be there for our members. We have to be there to conduct the business, to do what we do. And that is to provide funds, provide capital, and to provide checking and savings accounts to transact business. And the pandemic was one clear reason why that it made us aware of that more than any typhoon, more than any earthquake, more than any man-made or natural disaster that could happen. And so we made a decision long ago that drive-throughs are essential. So during the pandemic, when we had to close our offices, we were able to open the drive-throughs, and that really came in handy. So that turned out to be a very good decision. In the beginning, it was an expensive decision, but it turned out to be a very good one. We think now, though, that this pandemic, typhoon, or whatever kind of disaster, we're thinking that we have got to find a way to conduct business and have employees continue to operate and function, even though they're not here in the office. And so I know that there are other models out there of hybrid work environments where people can work from home and phone in, Zoom in this case, or in the case of being able to do transactions, run those transactions from home. And so we are working a model that allows our team members to work from home and be able to transact business, do their work from their home. And so they may only need to come into work three, maybe 4 or so times a day. We're proceeding slowly, but that's one thing that resulted from the pandemic. And for sure, there are going to be some departments that are can easily adopt to that model, and then some that just can't. But we think that that's going to be a good thing. If we were able to do that, we think we can run longer hours, for example. And our call centers can work into shifts and things like that. So we probably would not have thought of something like that had it not been for the pandemic, but it's forced us to. And sometimes, disasters or catastrophes are when you become the most creative, right?
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Half a day, my name is Jeanette Guzman Chrysostom and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Half a day, I'm Ryan Bawalta and I'm voting for Joe S. San Agustin.
Mabuhay! Ako po si Micaela Silorio at boboto ko si Joe S. San Agustin.
Half a day, my name is Diane Mkenko Garrido and I'm voting for Joe.
Half a day, my name is Joe Cabana. I humbly ask my friends and families to please join me in voting Joe Shimazu San Agustin.
I'm Senator Joe Shimazu San Agustin, and I approve this message.
All that melty cheese you crave with double the steak is back at Taco Bell. The double steak grilled cheese burrito.
The rising cost of living is affecting all of us on Guam. Our administration has expanded a program. We want to pay for your child's daycare up to $675 a month per child. This means more money in your pocket to pay for other expenses like the cost of gas and groceries. The Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration is investing in Guam's future, and that starts by supporting our working families. We are all in this together, Guam.
This ad is paid for by government funds at the Office of the Governor and the Department of Public Health and Social Services.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
During the pandemic, that's the time that I was closed for 1 year. So the payment that me and my daughter we bring home, let's just say $500 a month or $600. My rent is $850. Then I contact the rental assistant. They say that I'm approved. I really so happy. Kiriso tabur, maridi God, kiriso yeri God. Ren me day Governor Leon Guerrero and Charles refer ngeri Arabas igerai. Reri kei begin arinis. Mi dori Arabas is a money Philippine. Ren took Panabay, any kind of lacility. She really helped us out for the rent. Kiriso tabur. God ebofakuno nomrer. God bless, Governor. Yes.
This ad was paid for by the Department of Administration using federal funds.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
There's a silver lining in there somewhere, right?
Yes, that's true. And I actually think that I actually think that that's probably going to be the preferred method for some individuals. You know, if you have a child at home and you're able to be at home maybe an extra day out of the week, that might work for some parents. I don't know, but one thing's for sure though, it will provide a greater sense of continuity for our business during times when we can't necessarily be in the office to conduct business. You know, these days, technology being as it is, you don't really need to be at a desk in an office to be just as productive. So,
yeah, and your customer transactions a lot more online, digital.
We're seeing a lot more, for sure. We're seeing a lot more digital transactions, no question about that. But you know, the number of visits that we have in our lobby hasn't gone down the same amount as the number of transactions on digital have happened. So we still have folks that come into our lobbies, but they come in for different reasons. The things that they used to come in for, check cashing, cash accessing, checking balances, paying bills, they can do over a phone, depositing checks, they can do over a phone, on the internet or whatever, but they come in because they have a real need. And because we're not having to deal with a lot of the transaction processes, we're able to spend more time in addressing real concerns that members have when they do feel they need to come in and sit in front of somebody and speak. So yeah, the visits are more robust, and so the transaction processes happen on using technology.
I want to ask you about your new headquarters in a minute, but first want to get your take on the impact of inflation. The Fed is raising interest rates. Is that helpful? Does it make people want to save more or not spend their money? Or how's it impacting Community First?
Well, just the quick answer to that question is rising interest rates curtail demand, right? And so where it's affecting us is on new housing applications coming in for loans. Mortgage loans are our flagship product, and so when rates go up 1%, it affects the buying power of a family pretty exponentially. So somebody who would qualify for $450,000, for example, rates go up 1%, they qualify now for $375 or $380, something in that neighborhood. So it's a